change my design, how much notice do I need to give the tattoo artist before I come in?
Well, that somewhat, in my opinion, depends on the design and how intricate and crazy and time that was needed or is going to be needed to get the design put together. You know, if it's a little kind of jammer thing and you're just wanting to, you know, maybe change a little bit of something or maybe add in an extra little flower bud, that could be done at the time of the tattoo. But if it's, you know, a full sleeve or, you know, a complex design that takes a lot of time as far as layout and getting things to work right, and, you know, like a lot of people will come in and they'll dump a bunch of stuff on you and they'll give you a spot and they'll go, I want all that stuff somehow to be made like it's one cohesive idea right there. So there's a lot of work involved in that. Just how am I going to put all those things together so it doesn't look like a bag of shit, and, you know, to make it look nice, blah, blah, blah. So say, you know, you've been working on that for a week and your appointment is 3 weeks out, so there's 2 weeks till your appointment, and you call with a small change. Oh, I forgot, I need a toilet brush in there too for my grandma. She loved cleaning toilets. So you're like, okay, fuck, that... I could probably squeeze something in there. No, it's gonna, yeah, okay, all right, you know, we'll make it work. And then a few days before you come in and you're like, you know what, I want to do this instead. Well, now you've completely, like, mentally exhausted the artist. You know, the amount of energy, at least for me, that, you know, that I have to put into your idea and your design, there's only going to be so much of it. And if I've already used up a bunch of my juices on this design and now you just flushed it and changed your idea over this all of a sudden, I'm like, well, am I going to put that same amount of energy back into this idea thinking that, well, they could just pull this rug out from under me too. So it creates kind of this tentative, fuck, you know, thing. When you come in and you're excited, you've got a really good idea of what you want, and you give the artist a good idea and they can smash it out and be really happy with it because you gave them a good idea and it was a good idea to begin with and you're excited about it, man, you're going to get a great tattoo. But if you're all wishy-washy, it starts kind of, at least for me, it kind of starts putting me off like, you know, I wanted to be excited about this, but now you're not excited about this, so...
Absolutely right. It's a shot of confidence right there. A shot to the confidence.
Yeah.
Takes a bit of it away, and you know it's not going to be a whole lot of it, but it's enough that just makes the tattoo a little bit less fun for us, and that does, like you said, it does affect us a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think that nowadays with a lot of artists being digital on different digital pads and things for drawing, that you're right. A lot of these little changes can be done pretty quickly on the fly, but it's hard for a client to know exactly what changes are big changes. So I think in the end it's best to consult your artist if you need to make changes. As soon as you're thinking about those changes, hit your artist up and let them know I'm thinking about these things, and try to read off them. You know, if they're saying it's not a good idea to add these things in, then that might be the case. If they say it's a good idea, they can be added in, but it's going to push your appointment back a week because of that. Don't be surprised by it. I think you know. So as a client, it's tough for them to know how much it will. But
I know how it is for a client too. I think they're sitting there, you know, and they know their appointment's coming up, and they're thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it, and they're like, "Ooh, oh, this could be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that could be great," you know. And in the meantime, I'm sitting there trying to get this idea that you gave to me originally to work. And then you come in all excited about this brand new idea. Well, dude, I'm still excited about this idea that now, okay. So I think some soul searching before you come in.
Exactly.
Be, you know, kind of, you know what you want. Because
sometimes that change of an idea is really just the next tattoo you're waiting for too. So it might be
a lot,
you just need to push
or
off
something you can expand on the current tattoo with.
Yeah, later on down the line.
Like if you want a butterfly, well, yeah, we can do a really, really cool butterfly over on the other side that ties into that floral scene that you're doing, or a hummingbird or something. So then you're starting to develop into a sleeve.
Right.
Yep. Or bigger, better pieces in general. Yep.
And I guess the balance is, I mean, I don't necessarily want to charge an art fee. I don't want to charge you straight up for the time I sat down and worked on this design, you know? But sometimes you almost feel like you should, because I don't think a lot of it's just like in the band, on the band, like when you're a band, people see you on stage for 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and no big deal. They don't see the 3 days, 4 days a week for 3 hours over at your buddy's basement working, writing, working, writing, and it's a lot like us, in a way.
That 30-minute tattoo,
you don't see all the work and time that goes on and thought and everything that goes into that design for you just to go, oh yeah, no, forget that. Now I want this. It's like,
you 3 times. Your 30-minute tattoo was a 3-hour drawing before the tattoo.
Yeah.
So, do you think part of that's because of the television presentation of you come in, you consultation, absolutely, and then the next cut after they formalize this idea is them sitting in the chair and then prepping for tattoo.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. A lot of people don't have any idea. Case in point, I had a consult yesterday, and the guy wanted a crucifix scene on his back, from his neck to his lower back. And it was a beautiful painting, obviously color painting, and I asked him if he wanted a color black and gray. And he was like, well, I'd really like some color in it. Which means, okay, it's color. This is, you can't just
take longer.
Well, you can't just in a design like that, you can't just put in a little skin tone here and there and make it look finished and beautiful. It's instead of putting in values with just black, you're mixing and putting in all these values, so it's way different process and takes a way longer time. And he said, well, how long do you think that'll take? And I said, well, probably 15 to 20 hours. And he's like, I about choked, and he thought it would be like 3 hours. So sometimes people are blown away in the amount of time that it even takes to put it on, let alone the time it takes in the background to put it all together, especially when they see a TV show, when over the commercial break they come back and they have this beautiful sleeve drawn up. It's really misleading, and it can build frustration on both sides of the aisle, because they think, well, what the hell, this is no big deal, this should be done in 30 minutes, that's the way it happened on TV, and the whole sleeve was done, and can make
just puts a lot of pressure on.
Yeah, because I don't want them to think that that's what's happening, but I'm not going to hurry and do a quick job either.
Squeeze a 20-hour tattoo into 3 hours?
Yeah. No, nobody's going to come out good on that end now. So, yeah.
Well, before I throw in my 2 cents, this is brought to you in part by Def Before Decaf.
Yeah.
And that's what we're drinking here, and we fully endorse the drinking of coffee.
They use the best caffeine on the planet. That's a guarantee. If you can find a coffee with a better caffeine, then you should buy that.
I just think it tastes good.
That too. And yes, go. So yeah, she's. You can find her on Instagram. You can find her on Facebook. She's awesome. She's always getting new flavors and stuff too. She just came out with another one. Wine. It's got wine something. Anyway, check her out. It's awesome. Good stuff. You won't be sad about it.
And there'll be links in the description.
Yeah, look for that.
So you can order it directly. Couple things. First off, I don't know who came up with the idea, or I don't know who I heard say it once, but the difference between a good artist and a great artist is knowing how to edit, knowing when to stop. And part of that comes down to that process where you have the full, complete idea, stop. Don't come in and go, oh, well, it's going to look this way or that way. Things that could be edited quickly is size. A lot of people are always worried about sizing, and that can be changed pretty rapidly.
Yeah.
In placement even, to a degree, because then that would affect sizing. The other thing is of course, if something's misspelled, please let us know in advance.
Oh boy.
Because it's really hard to fix an L into an O or a G after the fact. And it does make loved ones pretty angry.
I've looked for a tattoo machine with an eraser on it for over 20 years, and I still haven't found it yet.
The other thing is you kind of touched on this, and we'll probably do something more expansive maybe in the future, is that I don't think people understand the different styles and how it does kind of go back to a fine art level. Like with black and gray, it's more about like pencil drawings. Colored stuff can use watercolor, ink, or oil painting, and it is technical to those levels.
Right.
And that takes more time.
Sure.
Of course, sit down and sketch something, not quite so long, but to sit down and actually do an oil painting, you're looking at people that spend years doing it.
Yep. Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's why changing at the last minute isn't going to produce the best
outcome. It can really throw a wrench, and it creates kind of a doubt.
Yeah.
I put as much work as I have to into every design to make it as good as I possibly can. And I mean, hours upon hours upon hours. And I really didn't realize until a couple days ago with the program that we use on our iPads, when you do a video playback, it now tells you the timestamp, and it'll tell you the amount of time it took you on that drawing. It's really interesting.
That's nice.
And when I had a client kind of switch gears on me a week or two ago, I went back just to see how much time I'd put into this design that now we were scrapping at that point and starting completely over. And it was 3.5 hours. So that's an evening and a little bit more for me. When I get home, you know, around 9:30 or so, I get comfortable, I get some food in me, I sit down. That's about my evening. That's the me time for the day is 3 hours. And I spent that time on this design, thinking about this design, and then the client is like,
good enough.
No, I want to do this. So yeah, it can just create that little bit of, you know, man, I was super like, okay, cool, my homework's done, I nailed this one, she's going to be so satisfied, this is going to be great. And
especially
then
when it's a really exciting piece.
Yeah, and really,
they always
a lot of them can't, you know, a lot of them are, you know, unless it's just the customer won't let you, kind of. And I don't want to feel like I'm beating up on them, because I don't. It's just that it's the lack of language, because you only speak so much of each other's language. Some people speak it better. Some people never been to your country before, and they walk in, you know, like, is it okay to touch something? So yeah, it can be frustrating, and I guess when it rains it pours sometimes. It seems like when you do get customers like that, you seem to get binged with them several in a row, and it maybe starts to seem like nobody speaks your language.
My grandmother used to say is God gives you bad things consistently so that you can get past them and enjoy the good things.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just karma or whatever the heck you want to believe in
that
causes that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just the rhythm of, I don't know, maybe people just get crankier when it gets cold and they're all cooped up.
Possibly.
I don't know, yeah. I know I do. So.
And the other thing is I think part of it comes back to older people. They're used to walking into a place, picking a design off of the wall, and getting it put on them. Yes, that can take... Usually they'll have a stencil in the back. They can slap that thing on you in 5 minutes, and you're on your way to getting tattooed and out the door before you know it. But if you really want a custom piece that's specific to you, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
And it's going to take that investment.
And back in the day, maybe 1 out of 50 wanted that.
Yeah.
Now there's 1 out of 50 who just want to pick something off the wall.
Yeah.
Everything is so custom now that the amount of time that it takes to be a tattoo guy is a lot. Before, all we had to do was come to work and wait for somebody to walk in the door and point at something on the wall. And like DaVo said, we'd go in the back, we'd find it, size it up, stencil it up, stick it on, look at the design that they picked on the wall, look at their arm, and
copy and paste.
Copy and paste it. Now it's you come in, you sit down on this couch, and we talk for as long as you need to for us to get a good idea of what you want, so we can come up with something fucking amazing. And so it's a completely different dynamic.
Because it's the funneling. That's how ideas work. You start out with a broad idea, and then you sit down with the artist, and you keep funneling it until you get to what you want.
Yep, chip away all those
and then stop.
Things that, and a lot people have a lot of time to sit there and tinker with the design in their head before their appointment. And so sometimes it's no big deal. They just want a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Yeah, no problem. And half the time, I was kind of thinking I was going to mention that to you anyway, because it kind of made sense with the design. But there are those times where you just get deflated and you're like, oh man, you know, you feel like you get kind of punched in the gut. But because it does take so much more time after the shop closes to do our job than it used to. I mean, really, before you could leave the shop and you really didn't have to think about work.
Plus, you've scheduled an appointment maybe a month, maybe 2 months out. Now you come in, the tattoo has to completely be redrawn. The time period that was set aside for you to do that, get that tattoo, is now being kept up by the hour or so they have to do to correct that tattoo.
Right.
So they may not even be able to do it because there's no time left. Because they've got another client coming in. So yeah, it's always something you want to consider.
Yeah, it's so it goes super smooth, and it seems like the bigger, more complex pieces I do go the smoothest. It seems like, at least lately, the smaller, more stuff like hour or 2 hour tattoos have taken the most work outside of getting the tattoo onto the skin. It's I don't know, like it's just the rhythm or the way the planets are kind of aligning right now, but it's really funny. I've done full sleeves, back pieces without the customer batting an eye, even sometimes even looking at what I had drawn previously that day that I just tattooed on them. And then there's other times where, man, you just cannot do it good enough. So it's a bit deflating, but we always, we always want to try. That's for fucking sure.
Yep.
But anyway,
Because we want you to be happy with the product.
that's the only way I get to keep the door open.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. And
So,
you're going
yeah.
to go around and advertise to everybody else that sees it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think he should say it. He hasn't said much.
Say something.
So we need to
You need to
please
subscribe.
to our show and like our show.
And like our show.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Please subscribe to Q&A in the Kitchen. We have weekly videos. We
No.
How often?
Every 2 weeks.
Every
Every
2
2 weeks we
For that
post up a
special.
new video with a couple of questions here. Just check back every couple of weeks and see what we got. Like our videos, subscribe to them, and check back every couple of weeks. Thanks, guys.
And also look for our weekly what's going on.
Updates.
Yeah, our weekly updates, what's going on
Yep.
at the Skin Kitchen and the Axiom. We have tattoos of the week that we like to show off and tell you what's going down. So check that one out too and share it.
Share it everywhere.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's good enough.